Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is our assignment for PAD 240, which is Government and Politics. Our topic for this assignment is legislative body is the important branch of government as it functions to create law in a country. Discuss bicameral system as practiced in Malaysia. For this topic, we will divide to 5 subtopics, which is introduction, type of legislature, bicameral, appointment and removal of legislature, which is method appointment and method of removal. 4 is difference between legislative in country, which is Malaysia, UK and US. The last one is legislative proceed and constitutional amendment. Legislative means a type of delegate who have power to create, amend and rectify the law. Legislature have 7 functions, which is legislative function. Making, amended and replacing a law, which is called a bill. As part of it, a legislature body will debate on that bill and it become a law if bill is approved. Second is representative function. Discuss matter on public interest and become as an eyes, ear and voice of the people. Third is amending constitution. Has 3 methods of amended, which is by direct vote, proposal was followed by ratified by a constitutional convention, and lastly is the proposal was followed by confirmation by the state. Fourth is supervisory function, to monitor and supervise executive branch and also have power to reject bill proposal by executive. 5 is financial function, to control and regulation of national finance by legislature. 6 is judicial function, act as court of implements and the function can be removed. Lastly is investigate function, make inquiry into matter of national interest and to appoint commissions of inquiries.
The legislature. Bicameral. Bicameral refers to a piece where laws are made or also known as parliament. Bicameral legislature means a parliament which consists the YDPA and bicameral system of parliament that has 2 houses, the Senate, Dewan Rakyat, and the House of Representatives, Dewan Negara. In Parliament, there is their own members and their own ways to elect the members. Besides United States, United Kingdom and Japan, Malaysia too has adopted the bicameral system. In Malaysia, the bicameral system known as Dewan Negara and Dewan Rakyat. In a bicameral system, the 2 chambers of the legislative body can have different organizations, rules, method, and of selecting members, and designated powers regarding the legislation and oversight of the other branch of the government. In Malaysia, Parliament was headed by as a YDPA Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah Ibni Al-Marhum Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Al-Musta'in Billah is known as Head of Parliament since January 31st, 2019. President of Dewan Negara and Dewan Rakyat, also known as Speaker. Both these houses will convene at the Parliament of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. In the Senate, the Speaker led by Tan Sri Datuk Sri Utama Dr. Rais Yatim, starting 2 September 2020 until present. Besides is examples of parliamentary halls, position in the House, the situation in the House of Parliament, and condition is which if a discussion is held in the House of Parliament. House of Senate. The Dewan Negara or House of Senate is the upper house of the Parliament of Malaysia, consisting of 70 senators of 1 to 26 are elected by the state legislative assemblies, with 2 senators for each state from the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur and 1 member each from the Federal Territory of Labuan and Pattaya, while and the other 44 are appointed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, including 4 who are appointed to represent the federal territories. To be eligible as a member, a person must be a citizenship of Malaysia. Years must be not less than 30 years old, not be an undischarged bankrupt, and also not be sound mind. The tenure of office is a 3-year term for a maximum of 2 terms applicable to both federal and state appointments. The dissolution of Parliament does not affect the life of the Senate because the dissolution of Parliament, senators are elected from a line of people who have provided the best public service or have achieved distinction in industry, trade, profession, cultural activities, agriculture, or social services, nor are representative of minorities or able representing the interests of orang asli. Before taking a seat in the Senate, each member must take the prescribed oath before the President of the Senate. The members swear or affirm that they will perform their duties as members to the best of their ability, faithfully and loyal to Malaysia, and to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution. House of Representatives. The Dewan Rakyat or House of Representatives shall consist of 222 elected members represent a parliamentary constituency. A general election is held every 5 years to elect members of the House of Representatives and also known as lawmakers. Parties with the most elected members can form a federal government to rule the country. To be eligible as a member, the person must be citizenship of Malaysia, age not less than 21 years old, not a bankrupt, not be sound mind, and a member shall not be held in the hand of both the House of Representatives and the Senate at a time. Every member, before taking his seat in the House of Representatives, must take the prescribed oath before the Speaker. By the oath, the members swear or affirm that they will faithfully discharge their duty as members to the best of their ability, to bear true faith and allegiance to Malaysia, and to preserve, protect and defend the Constitution. There are several functions to House of Parliament. House of Senate. House of Senate is debating bill passed by the House of Representatives in more detail, and also can start a bill except for a financial bill, and can refuse the law passed by the House of Representatives but can only withhold. House of Representatives. There are several functions to manage the proceedings of the House of Representatives, such as submitting notice of meetings to members and government agencies, prepare other papers, process and edit questions for oral and written answer, as well as prepare meeting minutes, vote and meeting travel. Beside from that, it also manages the presentation of government bill, private bill and adjournment speeches, perform translation of the official portal of Parliament, also ensure security during the sittings of the House of Representatives and committees when discussing bills submitted by the certain ministers and so on.
Methods of appointment. In Malaysia, methods of appointment are according to Article 45 and Article 46 of Federal Constitution. Members of lower house are elected through national elections or by-election. Members of upper house or Senate is made up of two categories: 26 members elected by the state legislative assembly to represent 30 states, while 44 members appointed by YDPA, the head of the state, with the advice from the head of the government. The appointment of member is upper house may be different in other country. The House of Representatives has 222 elected members, and each member represents a parliamentary constituency. A general election is held every 5 years to elect member of the House of Representatives. Method of removal. In Malaysia, methods of removal are according to Article 48 of Federal Constitution. Removal refers to a process that causes a person become disqualified from being a member of any house of legislature. Among the features that cause a person to be removed are: he is and has been found or declared to be of unsound mind, he is an undischarged bankrupt, and he holds an office of profit. In other countries, the provisions may be different.
In Malaysia, Parliament is the legislative authority and enacts law to be enforced nationwide. It passes federal laws, amends existing laws, examines the government policies, and approves expenditures as well as taxes. The Parliament is also serves as the forum to discuss matters of public interest. The Parliament is divided into two, which are Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara. Dewan Rakyat is also known as the lower house of representatives and is made up of 222 members of parliament, who are also known as parliamentarians or lawmakers. They are elected once every 5 years in the general election or when the parliament is dissolved by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the advice of the Prime Minister. The upper house parliament is the Dewan Negara, where the members are referred to as senators. The Senate is comprised of 70 members, and there are 2 members from each state, 2 members for the Federal Territory of Kuala Lumpur, 1 each for Federal Territories of Labuan and Putrajaya, and 40 members who are appointed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Parliament is the legislature and the supreme legal authority in the UK, which can create or end any law. Parliament consists of the sovereign in Parliament, the appointed of hereditary House of Lords, and the publicly elected members of Parliament. Most members of Parliament represent political parties. They are elected from a choice of candidate with the most votes, then becomes the MP for that constituency. The House of Lords is the second chamber of or upper house of the UK Parliament. There are 2 types of Lord in the House of Lords, which are spiritual lords, who are members of the clergy, and temporal lords, who are hereditary or life peers. Congress is the legislative branch of the government of the United States, responsible for making laws and helping to balance out the power of the executive and judicial branches. The Constitution divides Congress into 2 structures, which are a House of Representatives and a Senate. These structures are jointly assigned all legislative powers in the national government. Congress has many powers and responsibility. The most important of these is lawmaking. Lawmaking is a long and complicated process and takes up a large portion of representatives and senators' time. Only a small percentage of the bills introduced to Congress actually become law.
First reading. In this stage, before a minister going to introduce a bill, he must give early notice to the clerk about his intention to introduce the bill to the representative. Second reading. By this stage, the representatives are allowed to debate and discuss the bill after the minister present it for the second time. Third stage, committee stage. In the committee stage, the representative will group themselves into several committees to discuss the bill detailed in more formal procedure. Third reading. In this stage, the minister will tell the member of Dewan Rakyat that the bill has gone through the first three stages, either without any change or with change. First to fourth stage in the Dewan Rakyat, as it is should be discussed in both houses. Next, when the Senate have no complaint about the bill will be sent to Yang di-Pertuan Agong to get his consent. Constitutional amendments. The Constitution Ordinance 1958 was the first instrument to effect an amendment to the Federal Constitution and the only amendment which was made under Article 159(2). In 1960, the Constitution Act 1960 was passed. This was the first act for the Malayan Parliament which sought to effect amendments to the Constitution. In 1962, after less than 4.5 years of application of the Constitution, another amendment act was passed. The Constitution Act 1963 was passed, which made a number of minor amendments to the Constitution.